This is turn 1 of Victory Games Vietnam 1965 to 1975. We've started with the interphase. There's been restrained bombing of North Vietnam, and then the Americans have brought in 1st Cav, and to be historical, we've brought in elements of the 173rd as well in the location where they were historically. You can see that the NLF player has deployed his VC, and he has fairly aggressively put them into patrol. You can also see that most of the ARVN formations are ineffective for the first turn. When we move up into the center, you see there's no American formations, very weak ARVN formations. This will come into play a little bit later. There are a handful of provincial capitals which are lightly garrisoned. And as we move to the north, you can see that there's one Marine regiment deployed as a full regiment, 2nd Regiment deployed as battalions, and again the VC are in patrol to deny the Americans the opportunity to execute a special operation at the beginning of the turn to go up and enforce the north. Up in the north there are 3 North Vietnamese regular army regiments that are poised to strike Quang Tri. The NLF player opens the operations phase. As you watch this, you're going to see a little bit of adjustment as we played. So if you notice that some of the moves are redone, if you're watching very closely, you'll notice that. So bear with us as we have worked our way through the first turn. The NLF begin operations and announce their target hex, and the Americans devote 6 points of air. And the NLF and declare free fire in Quang Tri. And the NLF decides not to attack with that first operation. And they go to the second operation. You can see us adjusting some air markers here. They go to the second operation. The Americans do the same thing. They've gone very aggressively to try to prevent a bloodbath for the ARVN in Quang Tri province. 3 times the NLF player announces an op and declares a target hex, and 3 times the American player devotes 6 points of air to defend, and all 3 times the NVN regulars called off the attack. The NLF player proceeds then with some strategic movement through the center and positioning some VC regiments or VC battalions. This is all strategic movement here. There's no attacks so far. The Free World Allies player has not had an operation until now. The first search and destroy operation for the Free World Allies player, and it goes after this target hex, and you'll see ineffectively. There's a reaction by the VC. Finally, we have a combat, and it's a political battalion or a political section. All that work for a political section. Proceeding now, the Americans phase again and declare target hex. Again, there's a reaction, and the VC get away over to the border, with Cambodia. The NLF take another action, couple of actions. Then the time for the Free World Allies again, who declare another target hex. This time coming in earnest, trying to prevent the VC from getting away, and we have a running battle. The Americans actually take the worst of it here, taking, I believe it was 2 replacement losses. We have pursuit. In further combat, there are offensive reserves engaged. And finally, the Americans just reposition their forces and cease pursuit. Then a left player picks up some additional operations. The U.S. air mobilizes that Marine regiment and moves it up to the Quang Tri area. And then ineffectively, they try to clear the road from Da Nang to Hue. And they just end up pushing the VC battalion between a couple of hexes fairly ineffectively. Now the VC attack the regional capital in Kontum province. You're going to see the VC ultimately capture 3 capitals in this first turn. And the Americans eventually contribute a little bit of air. There were only about 5 points remaining at about this time, and the Americans divvied them up amongst 3 attacks to allowed a couple of free fire provinces, but that still didn't stop the VC from taking 3 province capitals, as you'll see. The VC are adjusting their positions, and then finally they're attacking this final province capital. And they use strategic movement to come in and seize this capital. The Americans garrison Hue. And that's the end of the turn. Turn 2 will be next, and we'll see what the damage is with the VC attempting to take more and more population, or perhaps take more capitals, and the Free World Allies will get one more chance to kill or push the VC out of some key areas.